All right, Democrats can barely keep up with the fastballs thrown by the Trump transition team. The president-elect continues to fill out his cabinet. He's opted for nominees that he believes can be trusted to carry out the MAGA agenda, which, of course, terrifies the keepers of the status quo. So ricocheting across social media were photos and videos of Trump and all his friends partying the night away.
We are in the presence of a really mythical character. When George Washington defended his country, he had no idea that he was going to change the world. Guess what? We got the second George Washington.
You know, I'm a person that believes in high IQs, and his is about as high as they get. Elon Musk, Elon. You know, he likes this place. I can't get him out of here. I guess if you like health and if you like people that live a long time, it's the most important position. RFK Jr.
Now, watching this just must be salt in the wounds of Democrats. They're still reeling over Republicans' trifecta win. When not trashing Trump's picks, we'll get to that, they're busy finger-pointing at each other. The influential left-of-center website Slate published a piece today. The title is, "Democrats, You Have to Do Better Than This." There's been basically zero accountability, they write. No real reckoning from the Democratic National Committee on how it managed to spend $1 billion on the only Democratic presidential popular vote loss in 20 years. No apologies from Chuck Schumer. No introspective messaging about losing not just the presidency, but the Senate and the House. Meanwhile, Democrat members are growing increasingly irritated by Nancy Pelosi after she blamed Biden for the party losses. Nevertheless, as Trump's win has really begun to sink in, some Democrats are finally beginning, and I say beginning, to grapple with what the Angle told you years ago. That, frankly, the Democrat Party is just out of touch with the middle class. They focus way too much on abortion. They went way too far woke. And, of course, that they said Joe Biden was weak and waited too long to step aside. Or that Kamala was a lousy candidate. We told you she was. And that campaigning with the never-Trumpers, Liz Cheney, come on, that was a huge mistake. And right now, when you think about this, at this moment, Democrats are kind of facing the same challenges that the GOP faced after Romney lost in 2012. Do you stay with the same approach and the same arguments, or do you just decide to go in a different direction to try to reach more voters? Now, in the GOP back then, the division was between the old guard, represented by folks like Jeb Bush, who kind of stuck to the 2005-era messaging, versus the newcomer on the scene, Donald Trump, and then all of his followers. Of course, we know Trump believed that to win, the GOP had to reconnect with the working class, and that included ethnic minorities, even if that meant that we needed to change our positions on military intervention, war, trade, and immigration. Of course, Trump won, attracting Hispanics, young voters, and more black voters. And the Republican Party, thank the good Lord, changed for the better. But where does this leave the Democrats? Well, this leaves the Democrats with nothing but their current posture, spitting in the wind. Against Trump's DNI nominee, Tulsi Gabbard, they're lobbing the typical smears with zero evidence.
Do you think Tulsi Gabbard is a candidate to be compromised by a foreign country?
I don't know. There's a lot of speculation right now. She needs to answer these questions.
The things she has said is making Democrats like yourself wonder if she's some kind of like Manchurian candidate.
Some people, as you know, say that, the reason why she's doing that is potentially because there was some financial arrangement.
Well, I've heard that it kind of could be a financial. I'm watching this today. Like, are you kidding me? It's like 8th grade. But given the screw-ups in the intel community, like, anyone remember the Chinese spy balloon? What are the Democrats really going to gain politically by defending the intel community and all the things that it's missed? Of course, their record is just riddled with failure. And Tulsi's the problem? And what about Trump's nominee for Pentagon chief, Pete Hegseth? He keeps taking incoming.
I'm going to add the Secretary of Defense nominee, Peter Hegseth. This is someone who, known to be a white supremacist, known to be an extremist, whose platform, whose book is basically about his opposition to the advancement of black officers to the top brass.
It's just defamation at this point. But what will the Democrats really gain if they're just seen as standing with the woke crusaders at the Pentagon?
DoD Pride is comprised of lesbians, gays, bisexual, transgender, and queer civilians, service members, veterans, contractors, family members, and allies.
We have also expanded access to care for service members and their dependents who identify as transgender.
Oh my God, the poor military service members having to listen to that. And then you think about it. What happens when the Democrats' media collaborators throw dirt at Trump's nominee for AG?
The ethics investigation has not been released yet. What about all of the questions and the allegations against him?
You said it yourself. These are allegations. It's amazing that you're more upset about allegations than you are about the weaponization of the Department of Justice. The American public has completely lost faith in the DOJ. Think about it. The DOJ sending their agents to spy on the parents who go to, the school board meetings. It's just amazing. As the American public has seen all of this, they see somebody like Matt Gaetz who's willing to stand up and call it wrong.
Well, Andrea Mitchell didn't really have an answer to any of that. Apparently, opposition is building against Gaetz in the Senate, but still, consider the weaponization, as Senator Hagerty said, that Biden's perfect resume Attorney General Merrick Garland is accused of. It's stunning. There's simply no logical way to defend these corrupt government institutions that have wasted hundreds of billions of dollars to work against us, not for us. And I don't believe in the end any honest Democrat can defend how the Biden DOJ perverted the rule of law to try to destroy President Trump. The voters rejected all that. Jack Smith starred in some of the best campaign commercials for Trump. We all saw the prosecutions for what they were, and he's had to close up shop. So if I were a Democrat, and thank goodness I'm not, but if I were, I would never again try to defend the Obamas. I'd never again try to defend Biden or tie myself to Cheney or Adam Kinzinger or anyone like that. They're total dead ends. If they couldn't save you in 2024, they sure as heck aren't going to save you in 2028. But there hasn't really been an open fight for the leader of the Democrat Party, probably since Barack Obama and Hillary ran against each other in 2008. And as for any other leadership positions on the Hill, there hasn't been much of a fight there either. For years, they've just operated like a well-oiled machine. It's usually one of the usual suspects. But now that well-oiled machine that gave you people like Pelosi and Schumer, it's broken down. So you have to open up the hood and start fixing things. So Democrats now have their own choice to make. Stick with the severely woke nonsense, keep catering to the never-Trumpers, stay with the liberal approach to education, or work with us. Work with us on trade, work with us on immigration, work with us on our industrial policy, and all of us work together to rebuild our cities. And that will help our working class and certainly help our minority voters. Now imagine Democrats being able to brag in 4 years about rebuilding our cities, about working across the aisle. They'll actually have a record they can be proud of instead of hide from. But if you just sit on the sidelines, you just throw stones, you spit in the wind, you'll just make it easier to elect Vance in 2028. So now that the election is over, they can just admit, all right, we all know it anyway, admit that Trump's not a fascist, he's not a threat to democracy, and say it's time, all of us, to pull together to make our country stronger. And if some of the never-Trumpers want to keep up the hard left anti-Trump agenda, just ignore them. They've been giving you bad advice for years, after all. What did Gwen Waltz, Tim's wife, say? It's time to turn the page. And that's the angle.
The winter White House, Mar-a-Lago, has been full of surprises this week, from staffing picks to celebrity cameos.
We're in the presence of a really mythical character. Nobody in the world could have pulled off what he pulled off, so I'm in awe. When George Washington defended his country, he had no idea that he was going to change the world. Because without him, you can imagine what the world would look like. Guess what? We got the second George Washington. Congratulations!
The Washington Post says Mar-a-Lago is the center of the political universe. It's attracting everybody from cabinet contenders to foreign diplomats. And everyone's having a good time.
People ask me what my favorite day on the campaign trail was all the time, and I think clearly the best day of the campaign trail was the day that we won. Maybe the second best day of the campaign trail was the day that my 4-year-old walked into the back of the plane, the Trump Force 2 plane, and told the media that they were all fake news. And then, not 15 minutes later, our German Shepherd puppy walked back there and he took a
And the Argentinian president straight up destroying the dance floor. There's one problem at Mar-a-Lago. Some people don't feel like leaving.
Elon. What a job. What a job he does. And he happens to be a really good guy. You know, he likes this place. I can't get him out of here. He just likes this place. And you know what? I like having him here, too. He's good.
Elon says, get used to it. He's not leaving.
I think this is going to be the most transformative presidency, perhaps since the founding of the country. And President Trump is picking the cabinet to do it. You can see that the choices are people who are actually going to make change. It's not going to be business as usual. We're going to shake things up. It's going to be a revolution.
And just like revolutionary times, America's on a land grab. Trump world is talking about buying Greenland again. And the cabinet's filling up. This just in. Caroline Leavitt has been named White House press secretary. She's 27, just had a baby, and she was Trump's campaign press secretary. Remember this?
It takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently, frequently likened President Trump to Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I am willing to have this conversation.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay.
Now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time. You are welcome to come back at any point.
And she's going to be coming back as White House press secretary. Caroline Leavitt's composed, disciplined, and articulate, and will be very effective behind the podium. Watch out, Peter Doocy. Trump's tapping North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum to head the Department of Interior. But that's not all. He's also going to be put in charge of the brand new National Energy Council. Not only is he going to be the drill baby drill czar, he's going to solidify our energy grid, add a little nuclear, and win the AI arms race. We're still waiting on a Treasury Secretary and an FBI director. And on the Senate side, the new majority leader says he's ready to push Trump's picks through.
What's the threshold for getting to that point for recess appointments?
Well, what I said is, Brett, and I think this is that all options are on the table, including recess appointments. Hopefully it doesn't get to that, but we'll find out fairly quickly whether the Democrats want to play ball or not.
Voters wanted complete upheaval in Washington, and they're about to get it. And Washington's a little antsy.
We're watching something happen in slow motion that is terrifying. We're seeing termites unleashed on everything. And this is a termite appointment.
They are MAGA warriors. They are in your face.
Correct.
These are not uniting people. These are not uniting picks. These are in your face to the medical community, to the intelligence community, to the military community.
This is the cabinet that you nominate to not to run the U.S. government to do anything, but to destroy the U.S. government.
Why are journalists defending the status quo? American journalists think the CIA and the FBI are doing a good job? They're against making America healthy again? What, they don't want to lose weight? Why are journalists afraid of Trump's cabinet declassifying his assassination files? What are they afraid of? Why is the media so afraid of getting the truth out? The media thinks the Pentagon's perfect? That's suspicious. It's almost like the media is working for the government. The medical community lied about the lockdowns, the intel community lied about the laptop, and the military lied about Afghanistan for 20 years. Thousands of federal employees need to be fired, and their documents better not be destroyed before the cavalry comes in. Democrats can't believe Trump's about to clean house because no one's ever done it before.
These three essential roles might be led by individuals with no requisite or relevant background, and in fact a history of just kind of outrageous and.
But I guess my point is, didn't America vote for this? Isn't this what people, they saw it, they voted for it?
You know, from my perspective, it is shocking. It is not surprising, but the American people, and certainly the people I represent, are good people.
People running these agencies with relevant background is why we're in this mess. It was all just a bunch of insiders failing up and then covering up. Instead of trying to understand who Trump's cabinet is, what they believe, and why they're there, the left's calling Tulsi and Pete the same thing they called Trump, racist Russian puppets. The American people shrugged that off last Tuesday, but they're still not listening.
She's considered to be essentially, by most assessments, a Russian asset, and would be the most.
Is that how you consider her? Is that what you consider her?
Oh yes, there's no question.
The Secretary of Defense nominee, Peter Hegseth. This is someone who, is known to be a white supremacist, known to be an extremist, whose platform, whose book is basically about his opposition to the advancement of black officers to the top brass.
I would just say that Hegseth would say that he would deny strenuously he's a white supremacist. He has, I just want to
so did Trump.
Put that in the record.
If Tulsi wants peace, she's a Russian asset. Or maybe the war's unwinnable and she's smart to end it before everybody winds up broken dead. Why is everybody afraid of having that debate? Prove it's winnable. I'm open-minded. And Pete not believing in DEI doesn't make him racist. It makes him a believer in merit. That's what most Americans believe in. That's what Martin Luther King believed in. Here's a black member of the Obama cabinet who says Pete's rock solid.
I've given the benefit of the doubt on at least the nomination at this point, because here's somebody who is well-educated, obviously intelligent, was in financial services, was in the Wall Street community for a while, could have made a lot of money, and chose to leave that, put on the uniform of our country, and see combat.
The Democrat governor of Colorado says he's excited about RFK being at the helm of health. Democrat Mayor Eric Adams loves the pick.
You heard us talking about RFK Jr. being the head of HHS. What do you think about that appointment?
Let's be clear. We have a real problem with our food in our country. And we need to watch what we're feeding our children. And
what is the major problem, do you think?
Too much hormones. Many people know my, I almost lost my sight with diabetes. The doctor told me I would be blind in a year. I was going to lose my fingers and toes. And it was my food. It wasn't my DNA. It was my dinner.
John Fetterman says Trump's victory is a serious flex for the bros. Quote, I love people that are absolutely going to vote for Trump. They're not fascists. So scolding harder or clutching the pearls harder, that's never going to work for Democrats. Look at all these Democrats getting on board. Trump's unifying the country, and he hasn't even been sworn in yet. This isn't an ideological revolution. This is a country that's sick, corrupt, and in debt. Workers can't afford food. The border's wide open, and there's a dude in your daughter's locker room. Trump promised to fix it. And if you're not helping, you're part of the problem. Complaining and name-calling isn't going anywhere. This is a new age. The tricks they tried in the past aren't going to work anymore. Country's not having it. This country's coming together to get it together, whether the far left likes it or not. Americans want to be safe, rich, healthy, and fit. It shouldn't have taken a revolution to demand that, but this is where we are.
And welcome to Hannity. And tonight, an important message and reminder for my friends in the state-run legacy media mob. Donald Trump won. It wasn't close. It was a landslide. He won every single battleground state, the popular vote, and Republicans, they swept the Senate, they swept the House, and he now has, whether you like it or not, a mandate to fix what is broken, and it is his duty to nominate the cabinet of his choice. You may not like it, too bad. So when you see all these people on television and the left, Democrats and legacy media, the feigned selective moral outrage, breathless hysteria over anything Donald Trump says or does, anything that they say about his nominations, it is important that you remember how the so-called adults in the Democratic Party performed over the last 4 years. Now, their colossal failures are far, they are wide, but tonight we're going to focus on one important issue. That is the crisis at our southern border that they lied to you about over and over and over again. The border is secure, the border is closed. It never was. And tonight I want to talk about one victim. Her name, Laken Riley. She is one of dozens of Americans allegedly murdered by Harris Biden unvetted illegal immigrants. Dozens of other Americans have been raped, including children. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other Americans, victims of violent crimes by Harris Biden unvetted illegal immigrants. Laken Riley. She was a 22-year-old nursing student in Augusta, Georgia. She was out running. She was an avid runner, an active member of her sorority, and was described by everybody that knew her as a loving, caring person, someone that could light up a room with her smile. But on February 22nd, while out on a jog at the University of Georgia, Laken Riley was brutally beaten. She was sexually assaulted. She was murdered. Her lifeless body was left in the woods near a running trail. A 26-year-old illegal immigrant from Venezuela who crossed Joe Biden, Kamala Harris's wide-open border. Of course, there was aiding and abetting going on unlawfully in 2022, is now on trial for Laken's murder. And today, prosecutors described this unbelievable, evil, heinous attack during their opening arguments. Now, we've got to give you a viewer warning. What you're about to hear is extremely graphic. Take a listen.
On February 22nd, Jose Ibarra put on a black hat, a hoodie-style jacket, and some black kitchen-style disposable gloves. And he went hunting for females on the University of Georgia's campus. And in his hunt, he encountered 22-year-old Laken Riley on her morning jog. And when Laken Riley refused to be his rape victim, he bashed her skull in with a rock repeatedly. She was hidden kind of almost under a tree and covered up with a bunch of leaves. The first thing he noticed was that her breasts were completely exposed. All 3 layers of her top clothing were pulled up above and around her neck. He also noticed that her running tights, which she typically wears above her navel, were pulled down and her underwear was protruding from her tights. He also noticed severe injuries to the left side of her head.
Imagine for a second this was your family member, your neighbor, a loved one in your life. Laken Riley fought for her life, battling her attacker for nearly 20 minutes. She even managed to dial 911 during the assault. Take a listen.
County 911.
Laken Riley, she was forced to fight for her life on a running trail in Athens, Georgia. Why? Because Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Alejandro Mayorkas, they didn't lift a finger to secure the border for more than 3+ years, almost 4 straight years. Frankly, they have blood on their hands, and they have the blood of many others on their hands. Now, neither Harris, nor Biden, nor Mayorkas, not once did they ever pick up the phone to call her family. Somebody that did, Donald Trump did. And you know what? They lied over and over again and said the border is secure. No, it was never secure. Laken and so many other young women and men would be alive today if this incompetent, morally bankrupt administration simply did their jobs. Instead, they were aiding and abetting in all this lawlessness. But don't take my word for it. Listen to Bill Clinton on the campaign trail. You might recall.
You had a case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't you? They made an ad about a young woman who'd been killed by an immigrant. Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, if they properly were vetted, probably wouldn't have happened. If they had documentation. There are more than 12.5 million illegal immigrants pouring into this country under Biden and Harris. And according to government data, look at this, 13,000 illegal Harris-Biden immigrants convicted of murder are inside our country right now, along with an additional 2,000 with pending murder charges. And meanwhile, more than 15,000 convicted rapists, sex offenders also inside this country, along with 2,500 kidnappers. All told, more than 400,000 criminal illegal immigrants are spread out across the country, along with another 222,000 with pending criminal charges. And that's not all. We have at least 100 illegal immigrants that we know of with suspected terror ties currently living inside the U.S. In other words, known terrorists in our country. Now, we know they're here. We don't know where they are. What are they likely doing? Plotting, planning, scheming? Another 9/11 or worse on our fellow Americans, on our country? But just yesterday, Biden's DHS secretary, he's out there bragging about his great performance at the border, boasting about the administration's tremendous success. What success? Take a look.
Do you think that there should have been anything done differently over the past 4 years at the border?
That the model that we have in place now have driven the number of encounters at the southern border down below 2019 levels, the last year before the pandemic struck our country and the world. We're facing an unprecedented level of displacement of people around the world. We have actually built an architecture now that is proving tremendously successful.
Right. It was more recent than I think some of the damage had already been done, Mr. Secretary, just with all due respect.
He's just a liar. Does the secretary want to say that say this to the family of Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungary or Rachel Morin or any of the other Americans or their families who were allegedly murdered, raped, assaulted by their unvetted illegal immigrants who were welcomed into the country by Mayorkas, and then he lied, oh, the border's closed, the border's secure, I'm so sick of it. What does the border czar have to say, for her hard work finding the root cause of illegal immigration? And how many people need to die? How many people have to be raped? How many people have to be victims of crimes before they can figure out what's going on? Thank God they're not going to be there much longer. And it's no surprise that the border crisis was a top concern for voters in last week's election. And based on the results, only an idiot would double down on stupid like this and this open border agenda. And right now, on cue, far-left governor, Illinois, vowing to do everything he can do to protect illegal immigrants. This is Pritzker in Illinois. And the American citizens in his state will just have to take a back seat. Take a look.
We have a law on the books in the state of Illinois called the Trust Act, which prohibits our local law enforcement and sheriffs and the like from coordinating with the federal authorities. But we cannot prohibit them, federal law enforcement, from coming into our state to conduct raids or do anything else like that. So, look, I'm going to do everything that I can to protect our undocumented immigrants. They're residents of our state.
Now, the governor is not the only Democrat pledging to put illegals first. The far-left governor of Massachusetts, the mayor of Chicago, are among the other top Democrats promising to protect and provide for illegal immigrants no matter the cost. But a reckoning, thankfully, is coming. Both Donald Trump, Tom Homan, a real border czar, they are planning to send ICE into every sanctuary city and state in this country and find these people. And unlike Kamala Harris, Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, and the incoming DHS Secretary, Kristi Noem, they are serious people. They are dedicated to fixing this problem and enforcing the law. And the new Trump administration is already scouting out locations for big detention centers used to hold illegal immigrants before they are deported. And on January 20th, 2025, not far away, catch and release will be over. Asylum abuse will be penalized. Latin American countries supporting or enabling this mass illegal immigration, they will face serious consequences. Cartels, they will no longer be able to operate with impunity. Millions of illegals will rightfully be deported one way or the other. Again, Donald Trump won. He won pledging to do this. This is what the American people want. I know the left, legacy media that nobody cares about, Democrats, they will scream bloody murder. And despite all the noise and all the predictable hysteria from the radical left, Donald Trump will fix what is broken. Thankfully, lives will be saved.
It's Friday, so you know what that means. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She's the most adorable, deplorable host of Outkick the Morning, Charlie Arnold. He looks like a wrestling coach who sleeps in his car. Comedian Adam Hunter. She's not religious, but she has the arms of a praying mantis. New York Times bestselling author, Fox News Get Driven or Cat Tube. And the air freshener in his car is an actual pine tree. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and former NWA World Champion, Tyrus. Before we get to some news stories, let's do this. Yeah.
Greg's
Here we
Leftovers.
go. It's Leftovers, where I read the jokes we didn't use this week, and as always, it's my first time reading them, so if they suck, we'll nominate Joe Mackey for Secretary of Getting Punched in the Face. Eva Longoria has announced she's leaving the United States. Yeah, she's moving from California to Mexico. Her reason? Fewer Mexicans. We love our Mexicans! Now, some liberal women plan on protesting Trump's victory by abstaining from sex with men. And this is supposed to be a punishment. What are you going to do next? Deposit $500,000 into my bank account? Even more, some of these women also plan on shaving their heads. Hey, I've dated liberal women, and their heads are the last thing that needs shaving. I mean, those armpits, am I right? That saves me. Meanwhile, some women are moving abroad for a better quality of life. Yeah, better quality of life for us. I had to move abroad once. That time, Dana fell asleep in my gym bag. The CDC reported that America's STD epidemic is slowing. They claim the declining rate has to do with one man ditching the dating apps. A new poll shows strong support for Kamala Harris running for governor of California. Great news for Doug Emhoff. They put people who bang nannies in the governor's mansion before. A Secret Service agent was fired for taking his lover to the Obama's Hawaii home and suggesting sex in Michelle's bathroom. Wait, Michelle has her own bathroom? Well, at least now she has someone to blame for leaving the seat up. I don't get it. Don't get that joke. ABC is rumored to be looking to add a conservative host to The View. Liz Cheney is obviously the front runner because she's both stupid and fat. That's why they're called leftovers. Trump is expected to officially announce Doug Burgum to his cabinet, upsetting the health-conscious RFK, who wonders why Trump would hire Count Chocula. Charlemagne the God expressed shock upon finding out that Trump won a third of minorities. Well, some god. Shouldn't he have seen that coming? Meanwhile, no minorities were shocked that Charlemagne's real name is Leonard. I'd change it too. Last night, Sylvester Stallone compared Donald Trump to George Washington. All right. Especially after this recently discovered image of Martha Washington. She was hot. According to a new survey, nearly 1 in 5 people say they absolutely refuse to poop at work, while others claim to poop all over work. Poop jokes never fail. Denzel Washington says he had a gay kiss in Gladiator 2, but it was cut from the film because filmmakers chickened out. Guys, it's a movie about gladiators. It's already gay. At the weigh-in for the big fight last night, Mike Tyson actually slapped Jake Paul in the face. I haven't seen a slap that hard since the time Kudlow claimed there was a mosquito on my ass. Larry. Hundreds of Red Lobster and TGI Fridays locations are closing after filing for bankruptcy, although some say they may merge into one restaurant called Thank Goodness It's Crabs. Whoever says that. Shocking new videos show the moment a Royal Caribbean cruise ship got stuck in a 45-degree angle. The captain was able to right the ship, however, by asking one of the passengers to stand on the other side. Finally, grilled guinea pigs are in New York City restaurants as a new shocking specialty, although they've already sold out thanks to one man. All right. You got to end with the Christie. All right. So the losers are leaving the field. Don Lemon, Joy Reid, Stephen King, Jamie Lee Curtis, all fleeing X, formerly known as Twitter. And yes, even a bridge is also leaving X. The Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol, England had an account, but no more. The bridge's social media team is blaming it on the quote, rise of inappropriate content. But the bridge wants you to know it's on Instagram, where it can still post tasteful pictures of its feet. So why is this happening? It's the social media equivalent of taking your ball and going home. Except the ball are stupid opinions no one wants. Yeah, they're taking their ball and going home after realizing no one wanted them on their team. Clearly, they got the message, and it was, you suck. These failures are fleeing because it revealed to them a truth their fragile egos couldn't handle. Their presence meant nothing. Worse, their pro-Kamala opinions became one reason for voting for Trump. The more they scolded us, the more we wanted to spite them. So if sunlight is the best disinfectant, the entire irrational class of elites on X just got scrubbed and bleached like P. Diddy's hot tub after a visit from the Real Housewives of New Jersey. But X did something the legacy media couldn't do. It allowed the world to compare dueling ideas and opinions in a competitive arena, meaning there was no thumb on the scale, or any body part. Previously, legacy media would amplify the hard left while burying its counterpoint. And prior to Elon, Twitter did the same thing. The likes of Stephen King and Joy Reid preferred it that way. They created their own little world, and Twitter kept it safe for them. Their idiocy was protected, and worse, was viewed as more popular than it really was. But it was a mirage meant to trick us. The way you were supposed to believe that trans models in Sports Illustrated is what America truly wanted. Once Musk bought Twitter, the flimsy, unchallenged views of the elites became absurdly comical when compared to the opinions of real people grounded in reality. In other words, Twitter's new emperor showed that they had no clothes. Suddenly, these pampered pontificators were faced with the thing they hated most, competition. And competition, wherever it rears its powerful head, always outs the losers, the imposters, the gaslighters. We instantly saw what's real and what isn't. The grift fell apart. And so, like I always say when I run out of chloroform, people are waking up. Even AOC changed her bio on X, deleting her pronouns and changing representative to congresswoman. How soon before she's holding an apple pie, singing God Bless America as she loads 2.5 kids into a minivan? But for some of these idiots, you can't undo the damage. It ruined Stephen King for good because he thrived on the mystique of a prolific, unassuming writer. But Twitter removed his cloak, his mystique then vanished, and you find the real dead zone is the space between his ears. The dope keeps writing it if you put a shh in front of it. Yeah. So as these sad losers leave the most vital playing field in the world of speech, we can only wish them luck, as the cleansing effects of a vast and free highway of information turn them into roadkill. All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.